Do you know the name Ashton Carter, folks? Well, he's the new second in command at DOD. And joining us now is our good friend Jack Blood, DeadlineLive.info, the website. Jack, always great to have you on the show. How are you?
Hey, thanks, Bob. I'm great. I got to apologize up front that I normally turn my air conditioner off when I do these radio interviews, but it's like 170 degrees here.
I actually turned mine on before the show so that I could cool down my apartment a little bit, just enough to be able to do the show without the air conditioning. I can totally relate.
You're the host, and you got to sweat it out. But as the guest, I deserve a little air conditioning. So if it bothers people, I'm sorry. My wife.
No, I can't hear it too well, so it's pretty good. I have guests with all sorts of crappy connections, and this is pretty good as far as that goes. So let's jump into this second in command at DOD. It seems like this guy has Illuminati written all over him.
Well, it's not only that. I mean, this guy is so connected. He is dirtier than a bum puddle in the New York summer or Bill Clinton's underwear. And I make light of it, but the guy, I mean, he's attached to the Council on Foreign Relations. He's attached to the Aspen Group, Goldman Sachs. He's got direct connections through a multitude of military-industrial complex companies to the 9/11 false flag event. And you just couldn't have picked anyone better than Ashton Carter to be the number 2 at the Pentagon behind Leon Panetta, who has also these serious internationalist American-hating credentials. When he was first switched from the CIA into the DOD to be, the Donald Rumsfeld of our era, I did a whole bunch of research on him. And even I, like this article, even I was shocked at just how much he hates this country. How can you have somebody heading your Defense Department and now 2 people that don't even like sovereignty or like your country?
Right. And he's also Knights of Malta, from what I'm reading here.
Well, he's pretty much everything. First, I want to start with this, really, Bob. I mean, the thing is that I kind of learned this a little bit from guys like David Icke, and I began watching it over the last decade or so. The number 2 guy is always a really good guy to watch. I mean, I list a number of examples in my article.
Namely Dick Cheney.
Yeah, Dick Cheney, certainly, but even better than that, George Herbert Walker Bush under Reagan. He ran the entire presidency for 8 years, his own presidency. Then he was business partners with Bill Clinton, ran that presidency. His son, and then he's seen, as we mentioned in the article, and we put a link to this, he's sneaking in the back door of the White House with little Jebby Bush in the Obama White House. I mean, this isn't some old geezer that doesn't do politics anymore. He's really very much involved. But John Dimitri Negroponte, our first intelligence czar after 9/11, and that new department was created, the Iran-Contra crook and death squad pimp under Condoleezza Rice, Paul Wolfowitz under Colin Powell, I mean, Rahm Emanuel under Cousin Barry. The list just goes on and on and on. So we really watch these guys that are kind of second in command because a lot of times they're handling the guy that's first in command. With Panetta, they're both really towing the line here. So there's a lot of information. And if you get into who Leon Panetta is, I mean, this guy, he's been on this LOST committee for a long time. LOST is the UN Law of the Sea Treaty, which gives almost all of the Earth's oceans to the United Nations. That sounds really American, doesn't it? They can tax and regulate the entire oceans, and we're very close to that, actually, though we've backed them up a little bit. He is, Panetta, of course, the CIA enforcement arm. Until now, he's the DOD enforcement arm of the Council on Foreign Relations. His whole life has been dedicated, and we got to kind of start with him, he worked for Nelson Rockefeller. I want to get to that in a little bit because I'm writing an epic article right now on Jay Rockefeller, who a lot of people don't know too much about. So Leon Panetta, right there, I mean, you're bad. And if you think it can't be worse than Rummy, you have to know how the New World Order works, right? I mean, it can't be worse than Bush. It can't be worse than Clinton. It can't be worse than Bush 1 or Reagan or all these people. It's always worse. And this guy really is kind of the perfect New World Order shill to put in. That's this Ashton Carter guy. He's involved with the Brookings Institution. I mean, the list is just so extensive and goes on for so long that, again, even somebody like me is shocked. Now, where did this guy come from? He was overseeing the waste at the Pentagon, and he did such a good job that he's been promoted to be the Deputy Secretary of the Department of Defense. I mean, really? we're looking at reports. I put a couple in, one from Bloomberg. 4.4 million for spare parts and equipment, $900 for electronic control switch that would be valued at $7.05. And we're sitting here arguing over our debt ceiling and what our financial problems are. I just got a rumor today that Italy is about to fall, and there's going to be a run on their banks, and we're going to have to bail them out. We just finally got the first audit of the Federal Reserve. We found out that there was $16 trillion of our money going to bail out different banks and businesses and countries. Of course, about a third of that went right to Morgan and Rockefeller at Chase Manhattan Bank. So this guy did such a good job as the kind of controller of the Pentagon budget that they have promoted him, yet story after story after story, Halliburton is bilking us $80 a gallon for gas. It just goes on and on and on. And this really shows you that having friends in high places is really more important than being effective on your job. You remember heck of the job Brownie after Katrina. I mean, this is where we're at here.
So, Jack, who are some of Neon Leon, as you described him in this article here, which I thought was a great way to put it? Who are some of his friends? I see here that he was involved with the Rockefeller Foundation and Mayor John Lindy.
Well, he was also in all these guys, really. And once you see, in fact, this epic article I'm doing on Jay Rockefeller and this big FAA crash bill that they just had for the last few days, it taught me. I just got into this. I started writing the People's biography of Jay Rockefeller, who's really not Jay at all. He's John D. the Fourth. I think he's the most powerful senator ever, and he just hates you. But when you start doing these really intense biographies of these people that really up to this point haven't existed, you begin to see that they're just all connected, and not in a way that's kind of metaphorical or rhetorical. I mean, they really are all connected. So, I mean, we could talk about Leon Panetta. I mean, he hangs out with Sam Farr. He took over for Sam Farr, who literally hangs a UN flag in his office. He worked with Nelson Rockefeller, as I said. He's connected with, and that's probably where you got the Knights of Malta thing. He's connected with the Illuminati Denver airport. Has anybody ever been there?
Yeah, what's the connection there, I was wondering?
It's really extensive, but I have a link to it on my site. He's just one of the guys that helped get it funded and keep it all secret. Now, there's a lot of rumors about the Denver airport, that they have multiple underground levels. Some people say there's aliens underneath there, or there's human experimentation. But if you just walk through the Denver airport, there's a giant mural of a masked military person killing a child.
Yeah, the murals speak for themselves. You don't have to get into the underground talk. And, Jack, we're just scratching the surface with this article. We're talking about Panetta, but his second in charge, as we've decided, is usually not a good thing, and usually the people pulling the strings. Yeah, let's get into that, but we got to take a quick break, Jack, and when we get back, we will get into that and so much more with Jack Blood, our special guest tonight on the Bob Tuskin Show, folks. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back in just a second. Yeah.
Now, if that's not good enough, Carter worked directly with Philip Zelikow, who you remember oversaw the 9/11 CFR Whitewash Commission that covered up the truth in the events about 9/11. Together, they authored Catastrophic Terrorism, quote, Elements of National Policy. And this was a report that was a product of their little study group, the Catastrophic Terrorism Study Group, which was headed by Ashton B. Carter, John Deutsch. You remember him from the FBI back during the drug wars. There's a great clip of him fighting an entire city of Los Angeles, trying to justify himself to the CIA smuggling cocaine during Iran-Contra. The project manager of the Catastrophic Terrorism Study Group was Philip Zelikow, who was, in light of not having Henry Kissinger on hand, the complete and total controller of the 9/11 Commission. And they helped set this U.S. terrorism policy that ran amok during the Bush administration. So he's working during the Bush administration with all these Bushies, and now he's working for Obama.
I guess the list just goes on, and when we come back, we'll complete that list, Jack. It seems like we need an NNDB database sort of thing going on. You know about NNDB?
Yeah, and that's what we're doing at DeadlineLive.info pretty much. It's all stringing together. It's our string theory, man.
Very cool. We'll be right back.